Okay, just wanted to do a quick video showing people how to find the equinox according to Stellarium, and I think the equinox is supposed to be equal light and darkness, but the thing is, in Stellarium, I guess you can go down here and pick on the equatorial grid lines, and they'll throw these grid lines up there. And I'm going to turn this, see these directional south down here, I'm going to turn this so, oh actually I do want to look south. And I'm going to start zooming out. I'm going to start zooming out till I see the full circle there. Then once I see the full circle, I'm going to get rid of planet labels, get rid of the atmosphere, and I am going to get rid of the ground now. Now, I'm going to pull this if I can. Ooh, gotta watch out, this thing goes bananas on you. Somehow, you gotta zoom out far enough. Oh, there. I don't know, you just gotta spin it around, I guess. But, so with this view, now I can see, the portals that the sun travels through. And I guess it's actually kind of hard to see in this. There's negative 40, negative 30, negative 20. You can't see it, but that's negative 10. Oh wait, that's 0. Looks like 0. Maybe it's negative 10. So then this one would be 0. Anyway, it is hard to see in this view. See, there's 0. But for the purposes of the way I guess I've heard people say they understand Stellarium to tell us when the equinox was when it crosses the celestial equator. And that is what, if I can get it here again, that is what this 0 represents. That's the celestial equator. So, you know, on Earth we have the equator line, and in theory it's when the sun is midway, right exactly centered on the equator, and then you should have equal light and darkness. So the way to project that into the sky is the celestial equator, and there are also celestial poles. These are kind of, which correspond to like the North and South Pole, and that's kind of how you can sort of see whereabouts the North Star is and stuff like that. But so those are 3 important points in the heavens, and the celestial equator is theoretically this line of 0 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this so we can look at the circular path here, and then I'm going to click on the sun. When I click on the sun, these coordinates will pop up, and what you want to look for is this right here. So when these degrees get to 0, that is when the sun is going to cross that line, according to Stellarium. So another thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the side here and open this up and make sure your location is correct. For me, I'm going to say Morgantown, United States. And you might have to make sure your option down here says United States to find your location. So I'm going to close that. So then down here in the bottom you can see it says Morgantown. So now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the sidebar, this clock looking thing, and that's my date. So now I can toy around with the dates, and we're just going to look to see when was the 2019 fall equinox for the people up in North America, for example. And so that would be, this is the day, so I'm going to adjust this. Now watch. Oh, we're in the wrong month. Watch what happens here. We're looking for this to turn to 0. So I'm going to go back 2 months. Okay, so look how close we are. 4, so I'm going to go up. 3, 2, 1, getting close, getting close. So we're pretty much right there now. It's on the 23rd. Now to find the exact time of day, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to speed up the clock a little bit. I'm going to watch that count down. When I get close, I'm going to stop it. Ooh, went a little too far. So now I'm going to go back. That's about it right there. So that is looks like it's saying that the sun crossed this line at on the September 23rd, according to Stellarium, at 10:23, and that is universal, whatever, universal time, something. I had to look that up, but for me, universal. Oh wait, does it say? Well, UTC is apparently 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So, really, for the location of Morgantown in Eastern Standard Time, the conversion of this would have been 5 hours. This is 5 hours ahead. So 5 hours before this would have been 5:30 instead of 10:23-ish. Okay, so that's how I got that number. And you can do the same thing. Let's see here. I just wanted to mention Stellarium, I realized, has a web version, and I'll have a link in the summary spreadsheet out to the right, but you can just go to Stellarium's website, and there should be an option called Stellarium Web on that website. But it's not as powerful as actually downloading the software on your computer, but you can mess around with it a little bit. And again, you have to click on the sun and it'll show you the data over here. And you can come down here and you can adjust the dates. So I kind of already found the approximate equinox point, and it's pretty close. I noticed it doesn't seem like this data updates when you move, when you change the date here. It's must just be a feature for the one that you download on your computer. Last thing I want to mention is, people talk about the straight line pattern. And it's just an important thing to keep in mind as we try and understand what these heavenly luminaries are doing. But, what people have been observing around the world is around the day of the equinox, it seems you see this phenomenon that is being called the straight line method, see the straight line. And it's true, and we're learning, and I have some questions. I still would like to see someone near the equator get the straight line pattern on the same day that everyone else is seeing it, because I just have a concern that maybe the straight line pattern is almost like the equilux event, where the equilux event actually just is not on. The equilux event is not on the equinox. It can fluctuate. Equal light and darkness is seen at different places on the Earth depending on how far you are from the equator. So, I'm just proving all things, and so that's an ongoing test for me. To find peace of mind about the straight line method, I'd like to see someone near the equator also confirm that. But I just want to point out something with the programming of Stellarium. And this is where Stellarium, I think, is subtly wrong, and it makes a difference. Trust me, it does. It can throw things off by as much as a day. And if you're off by a day, if you're going by a solar calendar or a seasonal calendar, just missing the day of the equinox by one day is potentially enough to shift all the creators' time. So it's kind of important to understand these things. But for whatever it's worth, I'm putting this out there as food for thought. So the thing that I see that's wrong with Stellarium is theoretically, in food for thought, is this straight line pattern. When people see it, in order for the straight line pattern to occur, it seems to me that the sun needs to hold its course consistently. Which, that's what it seems to me. And the problem is, when you watch these coordinates over here, Stellarium has been programmed so the sun just keeps moving. It never moves parallel to these. It roughly does move parallel as it travels around. Like if I just play the clock, you'll see how it goes around. I think. Let's see. Yeah. So it goes around, but over time, just let it get over here. Over time, bigger amounts of time, you'll see it jump substantially. So look, it's on this grid line where the E is, so I'm going to jump it a month and see how it jumped out. So it looks like it's roughly following a parallel to these circular grid lines, but then it is slowly shifting this way and that way, north and south, and that's what gives us the seasons, is because the sun is, it's hard to tell from this perspective because I'm zoomed out, kind of looking at a weird angle in Stellarium, so I can see all the movements. And there's a reason for that. Like I did another video on YouTube where it was titled Where Time Begins, and I was jumping into different places using this tool in Stellarium, and it was a very involved process. I had to try to find the moment where the sun would hit its extreme coordinate out here, which would be the solstice, winter solstice or summer solstice. And I had to jump around the map, but when you look at Stellarium in this view, you can see all of this circle. You don't have to jump to different. So there's a reason I'm looking at this. But anyway, the thing is, it's always it's not, the programming of Stellarium is it's not parallel to these lines, and it's constantly progressing in and out. Like when it's heading towards, depending on which solstice event, it's gonna hit an extreme position out here, the Tropic of Capricorn or Cancer, and then it's gonna bounce back to here. But it's going round and round, and it's close to these lines. So, but the thing is, in order for the straight line method or a straight line pattern to occur, if it's truly straight, it seems like it does need to ride on the line. And that's where the subtle programming of Stellarium can be off, because, like I said, if we look at these coordinates, I was able to get us pretty close and kind of see, that moment where the sine day begins. I guess it would be this way, when those coordinates zeroed out approximately around there. And that gives you the moment when it crossed. But the thing is, I think it's gonna get to this position, and it's gonna actually ride the celestial equator, I think, for a period of time. This is my theory. It seems it has to do something like that for people to be seeing the straight line pattern. But then again, I'm not sure, because like I said, the whole equilux thing, I'd like to see people at the equator. There's the question of if the seasons are equal or not equal. So this is all just food for thought, but I mean, I'm giving you some tips in Stellarium. The other important thing I'd like to point out is the moon. If I could find the moon. I'll never be able to find the moon. I thought the moon was supposed to be big. Is that the moon? Moon? Venus? Venus is bigger than this one? This big one. Moon. Okay. So that's the other big thing for the spring equinox, I guess. It seems that people noticed that the moon, when it moved through these portals, through these different lines that are running concentric to the celestial equator, the moon had an alignment with the sun. Let's go back to March. Well, let's go forward to the upcoming. So the thing is, let's see if we can find. So it's going away. It's going away. So look how close they're almost riding the same course right now. So the thing is, people have this theory that the moon is supposed to align with the sun. And I mean, full disclosure, that is based off of something that we read in Enoch, where Enoch seems to say that the moon is going to align with the sun. And it does seem like that happened. Last spring, there was a lot more people focusing in on it, and the Jerry Morris channel got a really good video where it appeared the moon was lining up right dead center. And the thing is, the sun moves very slowly in this direction, but the moon moves really fast. Like it'll fly from this line to this line in a matter of like 7 days. It's The movement is very, very quick through those portals or those lines. And so for it to align with the sun on or near the day of the spring equinox is really potentially quite an amazing sign, because it's an alignment that it just is incredible for it to happen, and it seems to only happen right in the middle portal once a year. But the point I'd like to point out as far as Stellarium's programming goes is, if it's true and the moon does align with the sun, which is right now, see how far it is from this line here, it's just a little bit, and the sun is also just a little bit, so they're pretty much aligned right there. It looks like the 25th of March. But the thing is, if it's true that everyone around the Earth has an opportunity to see this alignment, and it doesn't just happen in one place, and that means the moon has to hold that position in this portal for everyone to see it around the Earth for one rotation. But that's not what Stellarium shows. You go the next day and it's just a linear progression. It cuts right through and it keeps going. So that's the thing. That's the potential flaw I see with Stellarium. They've just programmed it to be this linear programming, which is almost fairly accurate, except they're missing the subtle things that the moon and the sun might do. And so it'll just be interesting. This is just all food for thought. I'm going to be interested to see what the moon does again this spring. I'll be trying to pay closer attention, but I have a horrible view of the horizons. But what I would like to see this year is, if, not just on the setting horizon, but on the rising horizon as well, if somehow we could see if the sun and the moon are in the same alignment, portal alignment, both on the rising and setting horizons. Because if they are, I would say that's pretty much an incredible sign, because look how much the moon moves in one day. Like, it's already almost to this next line here, and so for it to stop its motion and sit in the same rising and setting portal as the sun, I think that would be a pretty big sign, and I'd be interested to see if it did. But if it does, again, that just confirms we need to be cautious when it comes to the Stellarium data, because they are not picking up these subtle signs that the luminaries are doing. And yeah, I mean, this is all just food for thought. This is based upon things that we have actually seem to have seen, the straight line pattern and the moon and the sun alignment. And so this is definitely an ongoing study, but so far it seems like there's the potential for these things to be true, and for Stellarium to be slightly off. So for those who are just trying to go off of Stellarium, just a word of caution. It's a great software, and I think it is pretty close, but there are these subtle things that I think it's missing. This special design where the sun actually will sit on the celestial equator, and possibly out on the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn on the solstice days, the days that separate the seasons. But then this moon thing, it didn't seem to align for this fall equinox, but it truly did seem to align for the spring, and so I'll be interested to see if it does again this spring. But I guess that's it for now, just to show you kind of how I'm pulling data from Stellarium for the summaries I'm putting together, so you can follow that logic. If there's something else, I mean, that's the best I think we can do from Stellarium. But anyway, just food for thought. So shalom, and may Abba bless you as you continually seek out his truth and love with a pure heart.